It's very obvious from each day from going into the Dáil debate that the government not only failed to predict the extent of the scale of the protest, but they're still failing to grasp the depth of the public anger and the failure to address the ever-increasing cost of fuel and the cost of living. And it wasn't, it's come up here today that this didn't just start 2 weeks ago, and it was inevitable and it was foreseeable. And I'm going to go back to the origination of this continuing reliance on fossil fuels and the government's blind conviction that it's just business as usual. And it's so hard to listen to government politicians, particularly rural independents, in my own constituents as well, saying that they understand. These are people who claim to go into government to protect rural communities, and they've done the reverse. They're determined to undermine and reverse any previous commitments that there was to investment in renewable energies. They said, we've heard this government spokesperson touting the delivery of massive floating LNG storage depots as necessary for energy security. And has the attacks on the LNG infrastructure in Qatar opened anyone's eyes? A floating tank of explosive gas is not security, it's a target. So why would they squander the fruits of there was hard fought, and I commend my Green Party colleague here, there was hard lessons and hard work put into investment in renewable energy, and this government just tore that completely down. And we have to show leadership around this. We should follow the example of Pedro Sánchez in Spain, who's acted on the cost of living, and he's a fierce critic of it, and he's a fearless critic of America. We continue to support the American and Israeli administration by facilitating the fuelling of American warplanes in Shannon. And if we continue to do this, we're going to continue to fail to actually address the root cause of this crisis, and it's the unashamedly Israeli and American militarism which we in this country are supporting. So this has stirred, and because Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, in the independents in this government have handed this over to the far-right groups that have taken over this and infiltrated this, but you handed them in a plate for not listening.